victims, and we have shell casings from the scene. So they'll spend their time here over the next days, possibly into the next week, analyzing all of that evidence that we sent to them. Not only are they analyzing evidence at the SLED lab, but again, the FBI is helping us with some video clarification. They have the technology in place to do a lot more than we are able to do with some video that has been retrieved. And then our lab here in Beaufort County is doing most of the DNA work that's required for connectivity. So all of that's in process. All of these, not only the federal partners, but our state partners and our county and local law enforcement in Beaufort County are working around the clock to try to resolve this issue, find those that are responsible for this crime, and hold them accountable. And I will field your questions, but understand that if I can't answer it, don't take it as an insult. It's just a reality. I cannot release any information that would impede the investigation or prematurely identify anything that is currently being worked. So, having said that, questions?
Sheriff, what have your analysis shown about the concentration of crime, and particularly violent crime, in marginalized communities such as in St. Helena, Burton, North Beaufort, and how are you tailoring your resources accordingly?
Well, the resources that we have in Beaufort County are not only the Sheriff's Office, but our other law enforcement partners in the county, but also we have our partners with SLED, the State Law Enforcement Division, the South Carolina Highway Patrol, and our federal partners, like I mentioned earlier, the U.S. Attorney's Office. Of course, we have the FBI that works a lot in Beaufort County with us. We have those partnerships in place, and alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, and all those are critical partners when we're looking at how we make charges, what charges are made, and what jurisdiction those charges can be prosecuted. I've had multiple conversations with Solicitor Stone over the past couple of days. Matter of fact, every day, multiple times a day since Sunday. He's prepared. He assures me today that he's prepared to handle the charges that are brought forward when arrests are made. But until we get to that point, we're crossing T's and dotting I's, because those requirements are not only in place to make an arrest, but we have to look at this case from the ground up. So the ground up is that whatever cases we make, whatever evidence that we collect, and how that evidence has contributed to different people responsible for this crime, all of that will end up in a courtroom. And what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to victimize these families a second time by not doing the job that has to be done, and it has to be methodical and it has to be meticulous. So all of those things are time sensitive, and I'm not a patient person. You can ask my staff and they'll tell you my patience is thin, and I'm demanding things to be done, and they're expediting things. But at the same time, I always hold myself back, and I understand, based on my career and the fact that I've been an investigator as well, I understand the importance of crossing T's and dotting I's. Folks, you kind of need to know we've got a problem in Beaufort County, and this problem didn't pop up Saturday night, Sunday morning. And in a lot of things, it kind of gets lost in translation. Not only, and I'm not blaming the media or anyone else, but in the past year and a half, Beaufort County Sheriff's Office has made 24 arrests on possession of machine guns. 24 in a year and a half. 6 are still in jail. 18 are out on bond. A bond that you would laugh at. And it's not funny. A bond that allows those that we have been dealing with for years, and we chase them every week, every weekend, that are out on bond for possession of a machine gun. No one should possess a machine gun.
Sheriff, why do you believe that these are predominantly young African American men? Why do you feel that they
You know, there are several key components to that. Some of this is gang connectivity. The other is not only related to the gang activity that we do have, but it's also connected to social media. A lot of this is connected to Facebook and other platforms that are used on a day-to-day basis by this age group. And it's not a race issue. This is not, and I know your question, is indicated more to a particular group in Beaufort County or a particular race in Beaufort County, but this is countywide, this is statewide, this is national. So we have got to do a better job of getting a better grip on the gang activity and how that not only affects Beaufort County, but affects other counties in South Carolina and throughout this country. And these young men and women honestly feel like they need to be heavily armed to protect themselves. It's not to protect themselves against law enforcement. It's to protect themselves against people that they're enemies with because of a comment that was made on Facebook, where someone has felt that they have been disrespected, and then now it's their job and their role to gain that respect. And it's their reputation that they find is in question. So there are a lot of folks that are having different issues, not necessarily associated with Facebook, but feel like they have been offended or a criminal act has been committed against themselves, and they won't reach out to law enforcement. And I tell you, there's a lot of cases that we've worked with, some drive-by shootings and some other homicides, where investigators will go to the victim and said, all right, tell us who shot you, tell us what happened, and tell us who saw it and witnessed it, and you're gathering information. And the comment that we get is, I didn't see anything, I don't know who shot me, and don't worry about it, I'll take care of it myself. That's the kind of issues that we're dealing with. And then what leads to the next thing that we deal with is a retaliatory shooting or a retaliatory incident that occurs for retaliation. So, I mean, those are the things. Now, can we do better with making sure that when we arrest people and provide the evidence to the court, such as possession of a machine gun, can we do better by setting a better bond? Sure we can. Can prosecutors, not only with the federal system but also the state system, do a better job of maybe dealing with these cases in a timely? Sure, but I'm not here to point fingers at the prosecutors or the judges. The reality is it takes all of us to do better. We need to do our job. Everyone needs to do our job. Y'all are doing y'all's job by being here and taking what information I can give you and relaying this information to the general public, because it's imperative. We had 700 people at this party, and we have yet to get a witness that can tell us who the shooters are. It's ridiculous to even think of that. But the reality is that's what we're doing. So it is imperative that all of those and all of this outlet here with our media and all of our social media that we push out encourage citizens to call us. We have avenues of getting information to law enforcement. You can remain anonymous. We need the information. The more information we get, if you have videos, if you have any information that you may not think is very important, we need to analyze it. We need to vet it, because those things are everything that comes together. You have a question in the back here.
Yes, sir. Do you mind if I work? My name is Lafayette Weber, and I'm an independent activist from Jasper County.
Okay.
And President Trump warned us about this the first time he ran for president. President Trump has troops on the ground in Chicago now for this same problem right here. Okay? For years, this folder is full of obituaries of our young black kids over in Jasper County, South Carolina. Why? Because we are living under a very dangerous and corrupt judicial system. This is not friction, this is facts that's been going on for over 100 years in this state. And as an activist, I have done the legwork to find out where this is coming from. And this is coming from our state elected officials and judges that are putting these kids back on the street to destroy black folks and their communities. This is not a bar problem. I ran a bar and shut it down because of the drug problem that he never mentioned, the drug problem. 99% of the murders across America is because of drugs. Because prosecutors, these local magistrate judges, putting these people back on the streets, y'all. And it's time to stop it. President Trump needs to come in. He needs to go all over America and stop this stupid, ridiculous conspiracy to kill black people. Thank you for your time.
I'll interrupt to ask for some clarification there. What do we know about the suspects? Were they out on bond? What type of weapons did they have? Where are you in catching these suspects? Because there was a lot of different things talking about Facebook disputes. What can you clarify is fact from what we just spoke about?
Well, unfortunately, I can't make any clarification on that because I would be talking about the investigation and I would be identifying things that I cannot identify at this time. That's a great question, and I wish I could answer it. I have the information, but unfortunately, I can't share it.
Would the weapon being able to discuss a little bit more about how many rounds were fired, none of that?
No. Those are critical things to kind of hold to our close to our chest because those are the things information-wise we're seeking from witnesses to validate the truth and veracity of a statement. So.
And we've said no threat to the public initially, but now do you feel like there is a threat if somebody is out running around in Beaufort County that's a suspect in this case?
Well, and I know I went there a few minutes ago, but I didn't complete that comment. And it's another great question. I cannot tell you that you're safe in Beaufort County. I'll give you an example. If 700 people went to Willie's Bar and Grill to socialize with friends, and out of the 700, 2, possibly 3, had a dispute or issue with each other, and they pulled out guns and started just shooting, and where a crowd of others were there and 20 people were injured, you have to ask yourself, events such as this, and the sad thing about it is we're coming up on the holiday season where families gather, where people socialize and rejoice the holiday and rejoice each other. And these are things you have to be conscious of. Now, granted, having events such as that at your home and relatives' homes aren't the same as having a crowd of 500, 600, 700 people at a nightclub type setting where alcohol is being consumed, and things happen in those environments that are hard to control. You can control things at your own home, but when you go out in a setting like this and there's a consumption of alcohol and maybe other drugs and other things that are going on, things flare up. And when they flare up and people are armed, and that's when we find that in most cases, if you and I have a dispute about something, like the question you asked, we're going to talk about it. But disputes today with some of our younger generation, they don't have the ability to discuss things and talk things out. If they feel like their reputation has been harmed in some way, then they go at it in a revenge setting and they pull guns and start shooting. You have a question?
Yes, sure. So you've said a couple of times that what preceded the shooting was an ongoing dispute, a couple of people who may have exchanged fire. You also mentioned that there were firearm is being, forensic survey of the firearm, which leads me to believe you have a fairly good idea about who's involved with this.
And we do.
Okay.
And we do. I can't name the person or how many, but we do. We have a lot of information, but the information we have is going to have to be supported by the processing of evidence, and when that evidence is processed, and of course it codifies what knowledge we have, and then we're able to move forward from there.
You guys have run-ins with them in the past?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that.
I'll ask this, because you mentioned a little bit about gang problems in this, and you said Beaufort County has a problem. Can you finish that sentence for us of what that problem is?
Well, the problem has been a growing trend over the years, and we've seen not only a growing trend of local gangs, and we've had local gangs for the past 20, 30 years that have never really have internally managed themselves to be a threat to the society. It was more of a street name, or when I say a street name, a local address in the community, or just a local theme. But we've seen some connectivity here over the past months of national gangs that have an impact. And we've seen some activity that suggests that we have gang activity that's connected to other states, not only that are neighboring states to us, but also states that are a good distance away. And the connectivity there is very, very concerning.
Would you classify this incident as gang activity?
It's yes and no. The dispute was between two, possibly three known people that know each other, that grew up in Beaufort County. So it's kind of hard to say that this was a gang incident when we know that what led up to the disagreement prior to this incident was not gang related. So it's a yes and no. I mean, it's hard to put an answer on that when I'm trying to withhold information. I know it's difficult to kind of. It would be easier for me to stand up here and just tell you everything I know, other than to dance around what I do know to try to protect this investigation. But unfortunately, that's what I have to do.
Sheriff, can you define what a switch is?
It is a conversion of a gun to take it from semi-automatic to fully automatic. Question?
Were those the type of guns that were being used in the shooting that were sent off the sled?
We know guns were used, and we have guns that are being sent to SLED, but I'm not going to go into any detail. And the forensic services need to be done, and the ballistics testing needs to be done by a lab on those to certify what that gun is.
Sheriff, to the best of your knowledge, is this the deadliest shooting that you're aware of in Beaufort County in its history?
As far as the number of people that were injured, yes. As far as fatalities or homicides at a particular scene, no. But this is to my knowledge, the best I can remember, and Mike, I mean, we've been in this business a long time. I don't recall where we had 20 victims of gunshot wounds at a particular incident.
What is the status of some of those victims? Are they still, I know 4 were sitting critical, are those still critical today?
And I don't know the status. I know that I think 2 of the 4 that were critical initially are a lot better today than they were Sunday. I know that we have spoken to the majority of the victims of the 20, and some of them have very minor injuries, and there are others that are more serious and more critical.
And I'm guessing are some of the injuries also having to do with there being 700 people, like trample injuries or push out of the way other than just gunshot, or are they all gunshot injuries?
No, the 20 that we've identified is gunshot victims. And the gunshots for some are of course are fragments more than anything else, but it doesn't matter. You're still a victim of a gunshot. So when we're working cases, and Daniel and I had this conversation several times this morning, I mean, we're looking at a case where we have 4 homicides, 4 murders. But the other 16 is going to be assault and battery, high and aggravated nature.
Is there a
Because,
reason you pursue that as opposed to attempted murder?
well, and that's been my debate with, of course, not only the solicitor, but also Daniel, is that, and they can go into the technical terms of transferred intent and all the other stuff that they can talk about it. I don't think it's the right time to talk about it. I think when we get closer to making charges, when we make the appropriate charge, then those things can be debated, or they can be questioned. But we know what our focus is, and our focus right now is to find those that are accountable for this event and charge them appropriately based on the evidence that we have to make that charge.
Is there a belief that the suspects might have fled the state or the area? Has there been coordination with outside agencies, maybe other states, to see if they can be found elsewhere?
Yeah, that's a good question, and we have all that information. Thank you.
How common are these sort of customized guns, and how accessible are these switches, and maybe how much ammunition do they actually allow you to be able to convert a weapon to?
I mean, all those are great questions. You know, the switches are becoming extremely popular, and obviously, the access to these switches are easier than maybe some years ago. But ammunition, you can buy ammunition anywhere.
Do they allow you to hold?
If they have an extended magazine, then you can hold more ammunition. Yes, the capacity level increases.
And are these things that can be found fairly easy?
Fairly easy. You know, and a lot of guns that circulate within the county, quite frankly, are in unlocked vehicles, stolen out of glove boxes and consoles. So I mean, there's a lot of these guns that are floating around here that weren't. A lot of these guys and gals, they can go to a gun shop and buy a gun, fill out the ATF paperwork, and fill out all the other required paperwork, and have the background check and all that. They buy them on the street. They buy from each other. They trade them. I mean, there's just a process in that. But the switches are absolutely concerning. And we're just seeing more of them. Again, I go back in the last year and a half, 24 arrests, independent guns with switches that made them fully automatic. That within itself, in a year and a half in Beaufort County, raises the flag. Yes, sir.
So I'm here as an advocate on one of the victims. She was my niece.
Right.
And I want to know if the public record serves me right. Has there been an arrest made from that night at all? And is this person still in custody, or are they out from the public?
No, we have not made an arrest on anyone because of the incident from Saturday night, Sunday
So
morning.
it's not an arrest regarding that incident. There was no one arrested that night or the next day that went to another hospital or anything. And was it Beaufort County? This public record showed that someone was arrested.
Well, we've made multiple arrests over the past several days because we've got a lot of information that's coming in that we weren't getting before this incident at Willie's Bar and Grill. But we have not charged anyone with the crimes from Saturday night, Sunday morning.
So possible charges could be coming to some of these people?
No, there are charges coming to people responsible, but I can't go into any detail about who those people may be. I know there's some connectivity that social media is trying to do, and I think the media to...
It's public record. Look on Beaufort County web pages to see.
Well, I mean, the charges you're referring to are on people from a case prior to the incident Saturday night and Sunday morning. It's a previous investigation. Great question, Doug.
Yes, my name is Ben Ross. I want to give my condolences to all the families who were impacted by this tragedy. And on behalf of the Battle Creek Alumni Association, we had a tailgate celebration of the baseball game. Over 1,200 people, no drama, no argument, everybody having a great, lovely time. Amongst the mud and rain, we had an awesome time. The correction I want to get straight, the Valley Creek alumni members had nothing to do with the tragedy that happened at the villas. That's what I want to get straight. The purpose of the tailgate is to raise money and donate it to Valley Creek and Rio Branch High for the band and equipment and stuff they need. I just want to get that straight. The Valley Creek Alumni Members Association had nothing to do with the tragedy. And again, my condolences to all the family who have been impacted by the situation. And closing the club ain't gonna solve the situation. Thank you. Just wanted to correct that. Thank you.
Hey, Sheriff, can you say where the shooting occurred? Kind of give us a sense. We know it was outside, but where did it happen and how close were the people involved? And just kind of set the scene for us.
Well, I mean, have you been to, you have. The shooting was in the parking lot near the front steps of the facility.
And how close were the...
I won't go into any details about, how close we think the shooters were to each other. I will tell you, and you've been there, you've seen it, you've seen pictures of it, I'm sure, as well. But the shooting occurred in the parking lot in front of the main steps that lead up to the business. Questions?
Sheriff, have you guys recovered any video from Willie's Bar and Grill from like exterior, I guess, security camera?
And I would be talking about evidence, and I'm not going to talk about it, but good question. Thank you.
Sheriff Tanner,
Yes, ma'am.
my name is Dr. Cynthia Gregory Smalls. I'm a former retired educator.
Yes, ma'am.
The incident that happened on St. Helena, first let me give my condolences to the family because one of those members are related to me by marriage. So I just want to say, can we have more of these meetings? What you're doing now, excellent. But could we have more of them? And for maybe some of the police force, individuals on your force, have come out and speak to these young men and women on more frequent occasions,
Sure.
rather than having an occasion such as this.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Sharon, so out front of Willie's that night, there's 700 people. Were there, I mean, that just seems somewhat problematic to begin with. Was there a call for service to help disperse any of that? Was there patrols that were passing by that area that night?
Well, I mean, you have to look at the property as a whole. I'm sure you've been there. So you not only are you looking at the front of the business, but you're looking at the sides, you're looking at the dirt road that goes beside the business, and the huge area that's behind the business as well. I know the property owner, and I actually spoke to the property owner out there while I was at the crime scene. And the former name of this Willie's Bar and Grill now, but of course it was the Island Bar and Grill at one point in time. So it's kind of hard to believe, knowing the location, knowing the business, that you would have 300 folks on the inside of this building and possibly another 400 on the outside. We're going on what we're told, and I know our first responders, our deputies that were arrived on scene initially, because the call that came in was shots fired call. Our deputies that first arrived, it was a chaotic scene, and not only were there people in fear, running for safety, didn't know where to go next, but there were also 20 citizens that had gunshot wounds that were trying to find their way to medical attention. And then we had law enforcement coming in, we had EMS coming in. So it was, for the most part, the first responders that responded, and that would be our fire department, our St. Helena Fire Department was there in support of us the entire night and provided so much needed lighting and all the other stuff that we needed. So it's hard to believe that there were 700 people there, but quite frankly, we're going on based on what we're told. So, I mean, we've heard 500, 600, 700. So we do know it was a large crowd. And you know, and nothing against that. I mean, a large crowd is not necessarily problematic in a scenario like that, but when you have a crowd that size and someone starts discharging a firearm, it's going to give. Someone's going to get injured.
Were there any incidents, maybe in 24 to 48 hours before this shooting that may be connected with this that you guys know of?
Hey, I can't respond to that. I mean, there's a lot that we know that happened before and during and after the shooting, but if I answer that question, I'll start getting into the investigation. Yes. Hey.
My name is Sheila Jenkins Ward, and one of the young ladies that passed is a member of our church and our community. Secondly, I'm here as part of Beaufort County Awareness Group, and we have met with Sheriff Tanner several times. My question is repeatedly again, we met with you and Duffy Stone, and unfortunately we hear the rumors that a lot of these officers who are committing crime, or these perpetrators that are committing crimes are given low bail. And that's an issue for our community. And we want to know, I heard you say we need the public's help. What do we need to do from a public perspective to maybe help our governor or powers above to get those bail either denied for repeat offenders, right, or raised that they're not getting out and coming out in our communities and committing additional crimes while they're out on bond? That's something that we need to do, or find out how we can help you in this situation. Secondly, if you have gang activity here in Beaufort County, the public needs to be well aware of what's affecting our county. It doesn't matter whether we're white, black, brown. We need to know that there is an issue and how do we address it. Thirdly, I heard you get up and you spoke of certain things that you can't do here, and I understand that. But I did not hear you mention the anonymous telephone number that people can call in, because maybe someone out there who knows something that you need to share, you need to get that number and report it anonymously. So thank you.
Okay. Well, your first question is the guidelines that judges follow for setting bond is established through South Carolina Court Administration. So, you know, your avenues on that would be your General Assembly and whatever, you know, they can do to help. Because, I mean, and Daniel can probably talk better about the separation of different responsibilities in government, because you know, there's no way that the sheriff's office can dictate to a magistrate or a circuit judge as to what we would like a bond to be. I mean, they're going to follow the guidelines that are sent down by court administration. And of course, a flight risk is one of the considerations they make, but the other consideration that is made is a danger to the community. And you know, it's my belief in law enforcement that when you look at a possession of a machine gun, you're not in combat, you're not a member of the armed forces, you're not a member of law enforcement. You really don't you really don't need or should possess a pistol that is modified to be a machine gun. There's no reason to have it. So, but you know, I'm not going to get into a Second Amendment debate about that. But your court administration pretty well dictates how bond is set, and then judges independently set bond based on what information and what evidence is presented at a bond hearing. I can tell you that the most recent cases of possession of a machine gun, we had the solicitor's office was there making an argument on that, and we had investigators from the sheriff's office there making the same argument, asking that the person not be released on bond. So we can make those requests, and we can ask, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. You know, and that was your first question. The second one was?
What can we do to help as far as getting the information out to our communities that we have gang activities here?
Well, and that's another great question, but I can tell you that based on the work that we do every day, the community is very aware that we have gang activity, and that we have members and a teenage a broadband from mid-teens to mid to upper 20s that have connectivities with not only national gang activities, local gang activities, but the need that they need to be a part of some type of group like that that facilitates their reputation.
And I heard you say that mostly a lot of transaction is going on Facebook. So now, let's go back. Do you have officers or do you have a department that tracks what is happening on Facebook? And maybe that's another way that we can shut some of this down. If we can take that information that's being shared with one person to another on Facebook and try to see if we can put some of those criminal activities together.
Well, I mean, we have our Intel division at the Sheriff's Office tracks all of that. That we track social media every hour of every day. And we uncover a lot of information. But your other, and let me, and thank you, Lindsay, for giving us the mic. We have been preaching Crime Stoppers, I think, as far back as when I started my career in 1981. And Crime Stoppers is the most unused opportunity to convey information to law enforcement. We had a state Crime Stoppers program that just was underutilized to the point to where it now has branched out to counties. So we have Beaufort County has its own Crime Stoppers program. And when I tell you that if you call Crime Stoppers and give information, your identity is anonymous. I ask you, do you believe it?
I do believe it.
You believe it? All of you believe it? That it's anonymous, that we would not know who actually made that call or provided that information? The reality is not everyone believes that's true. Because if the government is running this program, then and there's no trust in the government, and the Sheriff's Office is not the government, but the reality to it is, no, we don't trust. There's other ways for you to find out. You can track our phone number. You can track our IP address. There's ways to do it. But Crime Stoppers is a great program, and can you unlock this again? And Lindsay will make sure that, and we pumped that number out quite a bit.
We shared it yesterday as well, but it also is included on all of our Everbridge alerts. Can you see it?
Well, I got my glasses, but they're in my pocket.
Seeing and hearing all of this, what is the toll that this takes on your department? And as the men and women of this department are serving, this is a lot to process and to see people at their worst. What, I know that every shooting incident, takes a toll, because many of them are part of the community as well.
Well, I mean, all of our deputies are part of the community. I mean, one of the requirements at the Sheriff's Office here that you live and work within Beaufort County. So our sheriff's deputies and our staff, our dispatchers, our civilian employees, they live throughout the community. Look, let me tell you what, we have got some unbelievable, seasoned, professional law enforcement officers in Beaufort County. They amaze me every day of their ability to do what they do. And the reality to it is they've been in this job, they've been providing these services to Beaufort County, to the Sheriff's Office for many, many, many years. Now, law enforcement, they'll put things in compartments, and then they'll go back and deal with it later. So when these investigators and these law enforcement officers, when they go to a scene like at Willie's Bar and Grill, they are focused, they are professional, They deal with the situation that they're dealing with at the time. They'll think about it later, but they will deal with that. And they did a great job the other night. I see them do it day after day. So that they have learned to manage all of that, and they do a superb job. And if they need help in that, then of course we provide that help. Yes, sir.
So a question and somewhat of a comment. So I've lived in Beaufort County for 52 years, and here recently, all I'm seeing is a lot of development, apartments, storage places, apartments. I mean, just everything, but nothing for the youth, nothing for the kids. These kids are starting just gang activity and this violence at this age here.
Sure.
Because they're watching their peers do it. What can we do, or what can the county do? We don't have the resources and money, the private citizens to get anything for the kids. Our kids have to go to Hilton Head, Bluffton, Savannah, all these places, Charleston, because we have nothing here. I mean, a lot of the problem is because the youth and the kids don't have anything to do at all. So what do? They go in the yard, they see their parents doing certain things, and they pick it up.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I mean, when I was young, we had the go-kart park, we had the arcade, we had different things to do. It's just nothing to do for these kids. The idle time is the devil's workshop. So if you don't give them nothing to do, they're going to find something negative to do, and this problem is never going to end. So who's ever approving all these developers with all this money pulling it into Beaufort County? I know it's a retirement place and all that, but we got our youth here. So we need to try to pull together to try to get more things for them to do. Because if not, this is not going to stop.
You know, I hope before you leave that you leave me your contact information, because I would love for you, and I would hope that there are members of county council and Beaufort City and council and Hilton Head and all the others that are hearing this press conference. I'd love for them to hear what you just said, and I would love to get county council to invite you to a workshop. And well, please leave your information with me before you leave, and I will give it to Alice Howard and Tab Tabernick on county council, because I agree with you. I grew up here, I'm 65, and I'm born and raised in Beaufort County, so I grew up too, and I remember 65 years ago, we had to create things for us to do because there was nothing else to do. So the county has changed, the county has grown. You're absolutely right. We need to provide more resources for our young people, and they need to be supervised. They need to be managed. But at the same time we're doing that, we need to take these out of their hands and some of the computers that we have and get them off of this and get them doing sports and other things. So there's a lot that we could do better. Very supportive. But if you leave, make sure, Lindsay, could you get?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your comments, too. Yes, sir.
Sheriff, earlier you said that there are hundreds of people at this event, but that you have not had a single person identified as shooter. Do you get the sense that this is more of a people are fearful, or do you get the sense that there might be a trust issue with law enforcement?
No, there's not a trust issue with law enforcement. The bottom line to this, with folks getting directly involved, is their fear of retaliation, period. And until we break that cycle, and breaking that cycle means that people need to go to prison, and accountability needs to set in. So it's our job in law enforcement, and of course it's the solicitor's job. And the question came up earlier: if the solicitor, if he could have had his way at the bond hearing yesterday, then we would have someone still in jail. And I'm just using that as an example of the fact that we can't control, nor the solicitor can control, a bond hearing. We can make our recommendations. We were both there to do that, and we got what we got. So, yes.
That's why I was leading right into my question. So,
we're going to continue carrying this press conference right here on our stream. We do have a quick programming note, though, for our viewers watching on WTO.
And we'll bring things back here to the VNN Now studios. Duke Schindler here with you. You just saw a press conference there for Beaufort County as they're giving an update to the mass shooting that happened Saturday night to Sunday morning, where 4 people died from gunshot wounds, 20 were injured from gunshot wounds at Billy's Bar and Grill on St. Helena Island in South Carolina. Now, this is something that law enforcement says it was a feud between 2 to 3 people that they know of. There still could be more at large. And these people who were in a feud actually did know each other through an ongoing dispute, and may have been multiple firearms that were involved with that incident at Willie's Bar and Grill in South Carolina. Now, just based on what we heard from the sheriff there, it seems like they have a really good hold on where their investigation is right now. They were taking questions, if you heard it. A lot of the questions that were presented, he basically said, I love the question, it's a great question, but we cannot answer that at this time to impede the investigation. However, when asked if the suspects were still in South Carolina, and questions along those lines, the sheriff says basically said he has all the information he needs right now. You know, kind of a hint that they know who is out there and who may be a part of this, but to not intrude on the investigation, he was not giving those answers at this time. But just from hearing him, he seems very confident that they are on the right track, because these shooters are still at large. They did mention arrests were made, but there was no one charged at this time. Absolutely no one charged. They're still looking for the people that were at the top of this and may have been involved in this. Now, one of the weapons may have involved a switch as well, which allows a gun to change from semi-automatic to go full automatic, basically making it a machine gun. So they're still looking for who is at large here, but it seems like they have a pretty tight hold on what information they have right now that they can use for the investigation. We'll keep you updated on this situation as it unfolds. But for Valley News Now, we'll send it back. For Duke Schindler, we'll catch you later.